So it looks like the news keeps on rolling here as we've got a huge update when it comes to third-party Nintendo Switch 2 sales, what happened last year and what people were trying to say and how that's been destroyed at this point with this new information that's coming out. And we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to Nintendo's momentum and what's going to be happening based off of this information, and big news with the Super Mario Galaxy movie and what that is doing overall. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off just talking about what's happening with the Nintendo Switch 2 third-party situation. Last year, if you guys don't remember, there was an article that came out about, I think, a week or two after the Nintendo Switch 2 launched, claiming that third-party sales are weak and that nobody's buying third-party games and there's big issues, and multiple different content creators came out and made videos. I think it was the Game Business and Christopher Dring's article, and multiple came out and made articles on that. Now, Matt Piscatella came through, I think, on that same day and said, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is way too premature. It's actually doing better when it comes to Switch 2 sales with third party than the Nintendo Switch 1 was in the same time frame. It's not bad. And then it kind of faded away. We needed to kind of wait. And now we're getting a much better picture now that there's actually been time and people have been able to pick up the system and there's more units out there of how Nintendo Switch 2 third party games are doing. So the analytics firm Ampere talked about this in a recent report on Nintendo platforms. This includes Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2. But of course, the big thing here is that with the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025, there was a massive surge in third-party game sales across Nintendo platforms. So Switch 1 and Switch 2 boosted third-party video game sales to 2.3 billion from Q2 2025 to Q4 2025. That is up 76% year on year. And of course, what launched in 2025? The Nintendo Switch 2. So year on year, sales up 76%. There wasn't a ton of big third-party games that came to Switch 1, so the Nintendo Switch 2 carried a lot of that 76% when it comes to the boost of third-party game sales in the second half of 2025. It was 1.3 billion in 2024. So you see that is a huge jump up from where it was the year before. Hogwarts Legacy, Bandai Namco, EA were all some of the biggest third-party developers on the system, Square Enix as well. Hogwarts Legacy in particular was a very good seller across the board with Switch 1 and with Switch 2. Now, I want to just go back just briefly to that article because that was something that a lot of people were bringing up. You had a lot of people, grifters and stuff like that, saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 is failing, that it's not selling, people are not buying the games, where it was more like it was too early. People are just getting the system. There's backwards compatibility. There's games that they can already play. There's Mario Kart World bundled in. So as more people get the system and pick up Mario Kart World or pick up something else or play other games, they're going to buy other titles. As we get more sales or deals, which we did see on the eShop for third-party games, people are going to pick those up. So once you get through all of that, then you can evaluate how third-party game sales are doing. Not just the first week or week and a half on a system that already has backwards compatibility and already has a ton of games that people can play, because a lot of the early adopters are probably going to be people that already have a Nintendo Switch 1. So to me, that was super early to be making articles like that, and I think that obviously you can tell here that whole narrative was crushed, not only with Matt Piscatella coming out and saying this is way too early for this, but now with actual data from an analyst firm, plus from what you can just see when it comes to the eShop. You see a ton of third-party games that are selling great on the Nintendo Switch 2 eShop. So you know that a lot of this was nonsense for the most part when it comes to a clickbait type of stuff. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what's going to be happening and keeping the momentum for 2026 when it comes to third party, because this year seems to be even bigger than last year, because we've got new games launching day and date from a number of different companies out there, and highly anticipated franchises like Final Fantasy are getting a lot of games. So what's the momentum for 2026? Resident Evil Requiem, that's been big so far. That's been a top eShop seller. I do think that that's going to be something that people are going to continue to buy on the Nintendo Switch 2 as they've patched the game up and it's now running and looking its best on the system. You had Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade that had a great launch, and then on top of that, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that's coming out this summer in a packed third-party summer. There are so many games from Square Enix and JRPG developers. It is incredible. You also have Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Endless Ragnarok. You've got Digimon that's coming out as well. There's just a lot of great stuff over the summer. And Adventures of Elliot from Square Enix. I'm looking forward to that game. Got games like Pragmata that's going to be coming out in April. You also have 007. That game is coming out in May, the First Light title. Elden Ring, Monster Hunter Stories 3 already launched. Trails in the Sky second chapter. That should be a bigger launch than maybe the first game, just because this one comes on cart on the Nintendo Switch 2. The first game, there was on-cart for the Switch 1, but you have to do an upgrade for the Switch 2. Now you get an actual full on-cart version of the second chapter, and this one is one of the better JRPGs out there, so I cannot wait to get that game. I think that game's going to do very well on the Nintendo Switch 2, having a full on-cart version, everything right there ready to go. And as the developers get more and more comfortable with the Switch 2 platform, as they had 120 FPS, or at least above 60 FPS when it comes to the Switch 2 version of Trails in the Sky first chapter. So I'm very excited to see how that one's handled on the Switch 2 with the second chapter of Trails in the Sky. Also, let's talk about the Nintendo Direct. That could also be a big boost when it comes to third party. Nate the Hate is talking about a number of big third party games that he knows is coming out in 2026. Games like Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake. We need to get dates, or we need to get those announced and dates. We also have Elden Ring that also needs to get a date. There are other big third-party games coming that Nate didn't even talk about that he knows that are going to be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. So having a Nintendo Direct, that should also be a very big boost to first and third party. We also got the first party lineup leak, which we've talked about multiple times. So if you haven't seen my video where I go over everything, check that out. But all of this is in tandem. The first party games kind of bring a lot of people in to buy the system, and then once they have the system, they say, okay, let me take a look at what third party games I can pick up. Because of the unique nature of the Nintendo Switch 2, there still isn't quite another dedicated system like it. You have a lot of portable PCs or handheld PCs that kind of do stuff like Switch 2, but aren't exactly that. There's no dedicated system from Microsoft or Sony that does things exactly like it. So having games built specifically for it, it brings a whole different type of atmosphere, and having everything that you need out of the box to get working, plus backwards compatibility, is just a huge boost. And I think that's the reason why these third-party games are going to be doing better and better on the platform, as Nintendo has a system that can better support the big third-party titles. Now, we'll see about bigger games coming out, Crimson Desert and GTA 6. Kind of have to wait and see how those run, or those look, or if those even come over. But for the most part, it can handle a lot of the titles. And developers are noticing, just because you have the biggest and baddest graphics doesn't mean you're going to get the biggest and baddest sales when it comes to all your games. So make sure that you have scalable engines that can run on multiple platforms and can do well is probably more important than anything. Now, I want to talk about the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, because there's been a lot of discussion on how that might go up, and I think that Nintendo's core plan when it comes to the 2026 lineup of games and all that, if they can somehow keep the price at $450 for the base model, they really have a good track to doing very well in 2026. I think they could potentially be record-breaking when it comes to 2026. Well, all the games that we know that are coming, Ocarina of Time remake, if we can get the Star Fox game that's coming out as well, Fire Emblem, there's a lot of great titles that should do well on the platform if they live up to what they can do. If you have it at $450, you have a distinct advantage over every other newer platform. Portable PCs at this point, or handheld PCs, are pretty much done because of the RAM, and the prices are just getting out of control. A lot of them are even saying that it's not even feasible for them to be releasing new systems because of the tariffs and the taxes and the shipping and the prices and the RAM costs. So Nintendo is at a good spot. I'm just hoping that they can hold with that. We also got the price increase of the PlayStation 5, but the prices jump up about $100 to $150 for the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, the disc-based edition, and the PS5 Pro. So that right there already gives Nintendo a much cheaper system than what some of the other main competition is doing. So if Nintendo can hold steady at that 400 or 500, maybe they have a price increase, but at least don't go past that 500 and try to keep the bundle around. I'm telling you, they should reverse course. Try to keep that Mario Kart bundle around. It gives people value, and people are really picking that up whenever they can find it. So hopefully they can hold steady at that 400 to 500 when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, and they can really get a lot of market share with a lot of different things that are happening in 2026. Now, we're already seeing record-breaking sales for the past month. It was a bit slower, but still steady when it comes to the sales, but then March hit, Pocopia hit, and that became a breakout hit. Massive title for the Nintendo Switch 2. We're seeing sales doubling and tripling in different markets when it comes to the Amazon, going from 20K past month to upwards of 50K or so. So you've got 100+%. UK sales up 150+% month on month. We're seeing a noticeable increase based off of different analysts talking about it. Daniel Ahmed, Nyko Securities analyst, talked about there is a noticeable bump up. Pokemon Pocopia is still selling out, the physical copy game keycard selling out in multiple different regions. So they have themselves a massive hit. The Animal Crossing people, the Pokemon people are coming over and picking up the system and picking up new games as well. So I do think that this is something that they just need to keep the momentum going with it. Keep the sales going. Don't announce any type of bad information. Don't have anything stupid happen right now at this point. Don't announce an $80 game. Don't announce a price increase. Don't announce anything silly right now. Keep the momentum coming. Keep the games coming. And I think that that's really going to be great for the Nintendo Switch 2 at this point. Now, another big thing that kind of adds on to all of this is that the Super Mario Galaxy movie is getting going. People are watching the midnight launches and people are watching the movie. It looks like it's going to be another crazy hit because Wario64 is reporting from Deadline that the Super Mario Galaxy movie is already breaking records with the best ever April Wednesday at 34 million, besting 2023's Super Mario Bros. Movie, which brought in 31.7 million. So even more than what they had before, despite what people saw with the reviews of it. And I never really go over reviews from movies. There's a lot of people who review movies that don't even like the source material. They just do it because that's their job. So I'm not really worried about any movie review. I just go watch stuff myself. And it seems like based off of what the fans are watching and everything, they said the movie is a blast. So I've got my tickets locked in. I'll be watching it by the time that you watch this video. I'll probably be getting ready to go watch it or something like that, or it'll be the day that I go watch it. So I'm going to check it out myself. I'm going to give you guys my opinion. Probably, I don't know if I'll do a dedicated video, but I'll definitely talk about it in a live stream that's like no spoilers and stuff like that. So I'll be checking it out and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. I liked the first movie. I thought it was good. I went to go see that in the movie theaters. The last time that I went to a movie theater was for the last Mario Bros. Movie. So I don't go to the movie theaters much, but Mario gets me out to go to the movie theater. I like the fact that the runtime isn't super long. I can just go there, check out the movie, and then come back. So I'm going to be looking for some popcorn buckets and some cool stuff too. So I'll let you guys know about that. Now, another cool thing about this, which I think is super smart for Nintendo, is that Stealth over on Twitter is reporting that they are advertising the Switch 2 games before the Super Mario Galaxy movie, like Donkey Kong Bonanza and Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 Edition, and of course, the Switch 2 itself. So there's probably a lot of people, oh, okay, I haven't picked up the Switch 2 yet. I love the Mario Bros. Movie. I like Mario, but maybe I'm thinking about the Switch 2. It just gets it in their mind. Once again, this is a huge strategy. You've got to have a hit. You've got to have something good. Nintendo, I would say, didn't get lucky with Pocopia, but I don't think anybody expected Pocopia to do as well as it's doing. That momentum transfers over to the Mario Galaxy movie here, and now you can get a lot of people watching the movie, seeing that, advertising the games, and then maybe as soon as they get out of that movie theater, they say, okay, I want to go get the Nintendo Switch 2, or they tell their parents about it, or their parents see it, or they want to go pick it up. So it's just something that is just genius. You can go see the movie, and then there's probably a Switch 2 right around there that you can go buy if you're interested based off of what you saw. So great advertising, something that they definitely needed to do. And I think that this Mario Galaxy movie, along with everything else that I talked about here, is going to help the momentum for 2026. And once again, they just can't fall into some pitfalls that we're seeing here, raising the price up. I mean, that seems like it's going to happen regardless. I hope it doesn't. But if it does have a price increase with the Switch 2, make it to where it's not something major. Don't make it $100 or something crazy. Don't do the $80 stuff when it comes to games, at least anytime soon. If you're going to have something that's 80, you better make sure that it looks absolutely incredible or something crazy. You can't just have it to where it's anything. So let's see what happens there. But right now, I think it's looking up when it comes to the Switch 2, and it was inevitable. I talked about this before, despite what some people were trying to say about the Switch 2 not doing well or sales failing and all that. That stuff was nonsense. it was inevitable that it was going to end up doing really good, considering Nintendo's throwing everything that they have at this system. If you want to play Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Donkey Kong, all this stuff, you got to have a Nintendo Switch 2. So those exclusives are pushing the system. That's what we're seeing. And the third-party games are supporting when it comes to in between the big first-party releases. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, Mario Galaxy movie, and more? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.